Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk Ralph English Podcast, the show that makes English simple, clear, and fun for every learner around the world. I'm Ralph, your host, coming to you with a warm British hello, and I am so happy you are here with us today.
Oh, we really are. It's such a great topic today.
It is, yes. We have a fantastic deep dive ready for you. But first, let me do the introductions properly.
Of course. Yeah.
And joining me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Aria, coming to you with her warm American voice and her big love for the English language. Say hello, Aria.
Hello, everyone. I am just, I'm so thrilled to be here with you all.
Together, Ralph and Aria are here to make sure that by the end of this episode, English feels a little more natural, a little more comfortable, and a lot more exciting for you.
That is absolutely the goal. Yeah. We want you to feel confident.
So let's get right into it. In today's episode, you are going to learn the difference between two very important English words, wish and hope.
Two words that honestly trip up so many learners.
They really do. But by the end of this video, you will know exactly when to use wish, when to use hope, and why mixing them up changes the feeling of what you say.
Yes. The feeling is the secret key here.
Exactly. You will also understand the grammar behind both words in simple, easy steps, and you will feel the emotional difference between them, not just remember a rule.
Because rules are easy to forget, but feelings stay with you.
Spot on. So stay with us all the way to the end, because the best part is always the ending.
Always. I love the thought we leave you with today.
Right then. Let's start with a picture in your mind. Imagine you're sitting inside, and you're staring out of a window, and it is a very dark, gloomy, rainy day.
Oh, I know those days well.
Right. And as you watch the rain hit the glass, you might think to yourself, I hope it stops raining.
Which is a very normal thought.
Very normal. But depending on the exact feeling in your heart, you might instead think, I wish it wasn't raining.
Ah, yeah. And on the surface, to a learner, those two sentences might sound exactly the same.
They seem identical, don't they? But in English, one of those thoughts is basically a practical weather forecast.
Yes, it's practical.
But the other one is almost like a tiny little act of sadness, a tiny grief.
It really is. I always say mixing up the words wish and hope in English is a bit like wearing one shoe from two different pairs.
Oh, that's a brilliant way to put it.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you can still walk down the street, people will understand where you're going, but something just looks and feels fundamentally off.
It feels uncomfortable.
Exactly. So before we even look at the grammar rules for these words, we really need to understand their emotional starting point. Because the deep feelings behind these words are the exact reason the grammar rules even exist.
That makes so much sense. So let's look at that emotional core. Let's start with hope. To me, hope feels very forward-facing. It's looking to the future.
Yes, it's very light. It's looking ahead.
It feels a bit like stepping outside and taking a deep breath of fresh air. And the most important thing about hope is that it is rooted in reality.
That's the perfect word for it, reality. Hope needs the oxygen of real possibility.
Right.
When you hope for something, you are telling the world, hey, there's a real, actual chance that this could happen.
Even if it's a small chance.
Even if it's a 1% chance, it still lives in the real world. Like, let's say a good friend of yours has a big job interview today.
Oh, yeah. High-stress situation.
Very high stress. So you
Yeah.
give them a hug and you say, I hope you get the job.
Because the interview is real. The company is real.
Yeah.
The possibility that they get hired is completely real.
Exactly. You are putting a positive energy toward a very possible future.
Okay, so that is hope. Breathing fresh air, looking at real possibilities. But wish feels very different to
It's
me.
a completely different emotional world.
Yeah, it feels heavy, deep, like staring at that rain we talked about, just longing for the sun.
Because wish is the word we use to deal with things that are not real right now, or things that are so unlikely, they're basically impossible.
It's an acknowledgement of reality, but it's a reality you desperately want to be different.
Yes. Let me give you an example. Let's say we go to a karaoke bar.
Oh dear. You know I cannot sing. I'd sound like a very startled frog.
See, exactly. So you might turn to me holding the microphone and say, I wish I could sing.
Right, because I know I don't have the talent. It is not a real possibility for me to suddenly sound like a pop star.
No, it's not. You are expressing a longing. You are wishing for a different version of reality.
A reality where I am a brilliant singer. I see. Hope is about possibility, but wish is about longing for the impossible.
You've got it. It's a very deep human feeling.
But wait, Ori, I have a question about this.
Sure. What is it?
If wish is such a heavy word, a word we use for impossible things, why do we use it for our most magical moments?
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, think about a birthday cake. You blow out the candles
Yeah.
and you make a wish. You don't make a hope. Or at night, you look up at the sky and you wish upon a star.
That is such a wonderful question. Why do we give our heaviest word to our brightest moments?
Yes. If I used hope on a star, would that be wrong?
Well, think about what you are doing when you look at a star. You aren't doing math in your head. You aren't guessing the chances of getting exactly what you want.
Right, if I hoped on a star, I guess I'd be treating the universe like a vending machine. Just putting my coin and expecting my snack.
Exactly. Wishing is pure dreaming. It completely ignores logic. When you wish on a star, you are saying, I know this is huge and I know it's out of my control, but I'm sending this deep feeling out into the world anyway.
Wow, that is beautiful. So hope is tethered to the ground, but wish is totally free. It's untethered.
That's a perfect way to summarize it. And this emotional grounding or lack of grounding is exactly what tells us how to use the grammar for these words.
Okay, I think this is a perfect moment to take a quick pause. If you are enjoying this episode so far, and I really hope you are, please take 1 second right now and hit the like button.
It really helps so much. It helps so many more English learners find this podcast.
It truly does. And if you want more episodes just like this one, please subscribe to Talk Ralph English Podcast. We make new episodes every week, and every single one is made with love just for you.
And please share this episode with one friend who is learning English, because the best things are always better when you share them.
Absolutely right. Now let's get back to the deep dive. We were just moving into the grammar and how the emotion dictates the rules.
Right. So because hope is anchored in the reality of the present and the future, its grammar is actually very simple.
It plays by the normal rules of time.
Exactly. It uses very normal present or future sentence structures. You just take a regular sentence and put I hope in front of it.
Like, it rains tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a regular idea. So I just say, I hope it rains tomorrow.
Yes. Or I hope she calls me.
Hmm.
It's very grounded.
You can also use the structure with to and a verb, right? Like, I hope to visit London someday.
Which is very common, yeah. I hope to see you soon. It feels natural because your desire right now connects directly to a real action in the future.
It's a straight line. But let me push you on this a little bit, Ari.
Okay, push away.
Is hope really just predicting the future with a smile?
You can...
Let's take something we all know, Sunday evening. The weekend is over.
Oh, the Sunday feeling. It's tough.
Right. You're dreading Monday morning. Your alarm goes off on Monday. You drag yourself out of bed and you say, I hope today goes fast. Are you just making a weather forecast for your mind?
No, it's so much more than that. And this gets to the real magic of the word. When you say, I hope today goes fast, it is actually an act of courage.
Courage, really? Just wanting to go home from work?
Yes, because by using the word hope, you are actively holding on to a positive future. You are choosing to participate in reality. You are saying, I am dreading this, but I believe there is a real chance it will be okay.
Hope is active participation in reality. I absolutely love that.
Right, but now we have to cross the border into the territory of wish.
Ah, the difficult one.
Well, if hope uses simple present tense grammar because it lives in reality, how do you think English handles wishes? Wishes that fight against reality?
Well, it feels like English builds a fence. A grammatical fence to keep the impossible things away from the real things.
A fence is exactly what it is, and we build that fence by playing with time.
This is the part that trips up so many learners, because to wish for something right now, in this exact present moment, English forces you to use the past tense verb.
Yes, you say, I wish I had more time, not I wish I have.
I wish she was here, not I wish she is here. It feels like the past tense is being used as like a quarantine zone.
A quarantine zone. I love that analogy.
Right. We're taking these impossible thoughts and locking them away in the past tense so they don't infect the reality of our present tense sentences.
That is exactly what the language is doing. By pushing the verb one step back into the past, you are signaling to the person listening, hey, what I'm about to say is not my real situation.
So if I say, I wish I knew the answer, using the past tense knew is my way of admitting I absolutely do not know the answer right now.
Yes. You are creating a safe distance from the truth. And this actually brings up a very interesting quirk that you'll hear, especially in more formal English.
Oh, the were instead of was rule.
Exactly. Sometimes people will say, I wish I were taller, instead of, I wish I was taller.
Which goes against everything you learn in beginner English. You learn I was, not I were. So why do we swap it?
Because that were is a special verb form. It's called the subjunctive. But you don't need to remember that name. Its only job is to talk about things that are not real.
So it's an even stronger quarantine zone.
Exactly. It's like putting up a big flashing sign that says, "We have left reality." Both was and were are completely fine in everyday conversation, but were is just the traditional way to show that something is impossible.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, what if we are wishing about something that already happened? A regret from the past.
Ah, regrets. For those, we have to push the verb even further back. We use the past perfect, like, I wish I had gone to university.
I wish I'd gone. It's like building a time machine out of verbs just to process your sadness over a closed door.
That is beautifully said, Ralph. You use 2 layers of past tense to build a wall thick enough to hold that regret. It's the English way of saying, if only.
If only. Wow, okay, so that handles facts and regrets. But what about when I'm frustrated with another person? Let's say someone is ignoring me. I wouldn't say, I wish you listened. I'd say, I wish you would listen. Why do we use would there?
Because when we deal with other people, we introduce a new element choice, free will.
Ah, because a person can choose to change.
Right. When you say, I wish you would listen, you are acknowledging that they have the complete ability to listen, but they are actively choosing not to.
So I'm frustrated with their choice. I can't say, I wish the weather would be sunny in the same way because the weather doesn't make choices.
Exactly. The sky isn't stubbornly refusing to be sunny just to annoy you. But a person, your brother, your friend, they can choose. So we use would to show frustration with someone else's choices.
So we have these 2 distinct worlds. Hope is bright, present tense, and real. Wish is heavy, past tense, and quarantined.
Yes.
But because language is methy, learners naturally cross the wires. Let's look at the most common mistakes and how to fix them.
The mistakes are so common, but they are very easy to fix once you know the feelings. Mistake number 1, using a hope for something that cannot change.
Like saying, I hope I was taller.
Right, which immediately sounds very strange to a native speaker. Your height is a fixed reality right now. You can't actively participate in changing it.
It needs the quarantine zone, so it must be, I wish I was taller, or I wish I were taller.
Exactly. Mistake number 2 is the exact opposite. Using wish for a real future possibility, like saying to a friend before an exam, I wish you will pass.
Oh, I hear that one a lot.
Me too. It breaks the rule because you are mixing wish, the word of the impossible, with will, a word of future reality. Passing the exam is a real possibility, so you must say, I hope you pass.
To make this super easy, I like to use a simple diagnostic test, a little trick.
Oh, let's hear it.
If you could replace the word with the phrase, I think there's a chance, you should use hope. So I think there's a chance you pass becomes, I hope you pass.
That's a great trick.
Yeah.
And if you can replace it with, I want reality to be different, you use wish. I want reality to be different about my height becomes, I wish I was taller. It's almost foolproof.
Wait, hold on a second.
What is it?
I am running that trick in my head right now, and I just hit a massive contradiction.
Uh-oh. Let's hear it.
What about when I say, I wish you a happy birthday? Or, I wish you well. A happy birthday isn't impossible. I'm not longing for an alternate reality. Does the whole rule just fall apart here?
I love that you caught that. You have found the one major exception in the English language for these words.
Okay, talk me down. How does this work without breaking everything we just learned?
It's a very specific fenced-in exception. Notice the exact grammar you used. Wish, plus a person, plus a noun.
Right. I wish you a happy birthday.
I wish you a safe journey. In these very specific cultural greetings, the word wish drops all of its heavy alternate reality rules. It just acts like a completely different word.
So what does it actually mean in that structure?
In that specific formula, wish simply translates to, I want good things for you. It is just a formal, warm offering of goodwill.
I want good things for you. That is actually really lovely. It shows how adaptable language is. We needed a polite way to give people goodwill, and wish got the job.
Exactly. And that is the core insight of this entire discussion, really. We don't learn these rules just to pass an English test. We learn them to properly express our humanity.
That is so true. So let's bring it all together. If we step back and look at the whole picture for our learners today.
Hope is your everyday tool for future possibilities. It uses standard present tense grammar because it lives in the real world with you.
And wish is your tool for expressing deep longing. It's for when you want an alternate reality, using past tense grammar to create a safe distance from a truth you cannot change.
Yes. Hope is a gift you give to the future. Wish is a conversation you have with your heart.
Hope is a gift you give to the future. Wish is a conversation you have with your heart. That is definitely going to stick with me.
I'm glad.
But before we wrap up today, I wanted to leave you, our listener, with a final lingering question. Something to mull over.
Oh, I love when we do this. What's the provocative thought for today?
Well, we've established that wish is about things that are largely impossible to change, right? And hope is about active possibility.
Right.
So think about your own life. When you catch yourself repeatedly using the word wish about your current circumstances, like, I wish I had a better job, or I wish I lived somewhere else,
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
are you secretly avoiding turning those wishes into hopes?
Wow. Are you using the grammar of the impossible to avoid doing the hard work of the possible?
Exactly. Because hoping means acknowledging it's actually possible to change your life. And if it's possible, it requires you to actually take action.
Yeah, are you staring out the rainy window, wishing it would stop when you could just grab an umbrella and walk out into the weather?
That completely changes how you hear yourself speak, doesn't it?
It really does. It's incredibly powerful.
So pay attention to your words today. Are you wishing or are you hoping? Keep that in mind next time you look out a rainy window.
Such a great thought to end on.
If you watch this episode all the way to the end, you are no longer someone who guesses between wish and hope.
No, you are not.
You are now someone who feels the difference. You understand the grammar, you understand the emotion, you are a more confident, more natural English speaker, and that is something to be proud of.
We are certainly very proud of you.
Before we say goodbye, if this episode helped you even a little, please like this video right now.
And subscribe to Talk Ralph English Podcast so you never miss a single episode.
And share this with one friend, one classmate, one family member who is learning English. You could be the reason their English changes today. Thank you so much for being here. This is Ralph and Aria saying goodbye. Keep learning, and we'll see you in the very next episode.